Here.
I'm still here.
All right, great, guys. We're back with another edition. I've never introduced the show that way, but anyway, we're 12:30 every day. We come in, talk about your health, exercise, nutrition, mindset, and recovery. Today we have Doug Fioranelli, and Doug trains. I'll let him tell you a little bit about the people that he trains, but he trains out in California, and he's really big into the kettlebell stuff. So. We're going to dig into that. Like, you guys know that we use kettlebells quite a bit out of the gym. And I don't think people really get a very good idea of what that goes in, how effective kettlebells really are and why they're such a great tool and why they weren't just a fad, but they actually stuck around. So Doug and I are going to just go back and forth. If you have any questions, please write them down below and slap that share button and get other people in on this call too, so that we can get out of obscurity and help and spread a good message so that people can start strength training, start getting power under the belt, start getting more of the stuff that's going to help them live their lives their way. But Doug, you want to kind of introduce yourself and say a little bit about your gym, maybe?
Yeah, perfect. So my name is Doug. I've been a trainer since 2001. I worked in a commercial gym, and then I was training people kind of outside in my garage for a long time, and I realized I kind of wanted to do my own thing and train the people I wanted to train. I realized I wasn't great with weight loss clients, so I liked more the kids and police, fire, military, stuff like that. So at my gym now, I train adults. I have classes for adults. They're small circuit classes, but I mostly train like youth athletes, anywhere from middle school all the way up. I have college and some professional people. And then I have some police, fire, military classes as well. And those are kind of the three main groups that I train. And so we do that. The youth athletes a little bit different. They're a small group setting, and I write out all their programs. So it's a little bit different than most places. So they're together. I call it kind of semi-private training. They're together, but they all have their own unique program that changes every couple of weeks. But they're in this setting where they can kind of feed off each other and kind of, share in a community aspect of it. So that's pretty much what I do here.
That's cool. That's cool. So tell me a little bit about exercise. About kick my desk over. About your exercise philosophy, kind of the stuff that you think is like your top three, like your big important three, maybe, or the things that are kind of mainstays in what you try to educate your clients on.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a boring kind of conservative trainer, but I think it always comes down to the basics. And even the more and more I reflect on things, and even looking at sports, like, I used to play a ton of soccer, and I look at soccer and, the highlights are great, but I realize that the best people in the world are the ones that master the basics really, really well. Yeah. So learning how to deadlift properly, learning how to squat properly, learning how to lunge properly, things like, and push-ups, it might be boring, it might not be sexy or anything like that, but if you can do that very, very well, you're going to, build off that and be able to be successful in other things. Most of the people I train, I call it a means to an end. It's not like CrossFit where it is the sport. It's helping them do something else better. So I am just a small tool, like to, get them to play their sport better, get them to play with their kids better, get them to perform their duties better as a, civil servant. So I look at it as that, just learning the basics and kind of, getting people to do things a little bit out of their comfort zone, like whether they don't like lunges, hey, we're doing lunges, making sure you can do a lunge, it's a better quality of life. So that's kind of the philosophy I take. Obviously safety is first. I'm not a big, even recently I was thinking, I was like, I don't even really care so much about weight. Yeah, I like to see people progress, but I don't care if this kid deadlifts X amount of weight or not amount. They're going to get better doing whatever as long as they progress a little bit. But it's not the ultimate goal is not like, oh, can I do a 400-pound deadlift? Like, can you move well doing a 300-pound deadlift? Can you, transfer it over the field? I think that's more important. So I don't even focus so much on how much weight can you move until you get to bigger, different age or something like that, right?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I see a lot of that going on where people are just like, they push weight, and it's like you're not asking the body to learn anything if you do that. If you're constantly working at this maximum capacity, then your body can't learn, so the body doesn't actually get stronger because it's too busy telling you to stop. what's the point? But
yeah, yeah,
like for me,
different.
go.
No, I said there's so many different ways to get better. I mean, even powerlifters move their sub-maximal weights for different rep schemes, different, amounts of density. They never really go up to that maximum weight all the time. So, hey, if I can, deadlift, I did deadlift 365 for 2 reps, and then I don't need to go up to that 400. I go, can I do it 1 extra rep with a clean rep, and then you're getting better, and that's kind of what we look for. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, I mean, you look at strongest deadlifter up to this point in the history of the world that we know of, Eddie Hall. Just what did he do? 500 kilograms like 6 months ago. Like, he's not trying to lift 500 kilograms every single day. Like, he might not even hit 200 kilograms on certain days. He's working speed pulls, and he's working other types of things, other qualities of the deadlift to try to get better. So he builds that up, but he's not going to try to lift another 500 for probably like another 6 months from now, because everything's up in preparation to that thing. So it always surprises me when people are like, I'm going to max out. I'm going to break a record every day. Well, good luck.
Yeah.
That's gonna go. I know exactly how that's you're gonna end up broken.
Yeah. So I say mastering the basics is probably my most important philosophy. Making sure you're moving well with it. So that's part of the mastering the basics. Like, how well do you move that weight? How well do you move your body? How, that's probably more important than anything else. Like I said, it's just, did that set feel good? Do you feel like you moved well and you're able to kind of get what we wanted out of it? Like, whether it's a medicine ball throw, were you able to transfer the weight from the floor through your core and get a nice snappy throw? Like, that's what I want to see versus, oh man, I threw the 30-pound ball and, it was savage and I sweated and I couldn't even move the next day. Like, I don't care about that so much. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't get the point. Like, it's not an ego contest. You're trying to get better. Yeah, you're trying to move cleaner. Even if you are you're trying to get stronger. Even if you're 55 years old and you're just starting strength training, you're
yeah.
What are you trying to? You're trying to gain some muscle mass. You're trying to gain some power, gain some strength, lose some fat. That's probably what most people are going for anyway. What's we need to get you injured? We just need to see a clean rep.
Yeah, but it's tough too, especially with adults, because there's one virtue that's not very well received. It's just going to take, mastering basics takes a lot of time. I mean, you think about a black belt in karate, it's like, it takes 10 years to become a black belt in karate. And then that's when they say the journey really begins. Like, you learn all the movements and you consider to master the basics, and then you can start getting a deeper thing, the mental thing, how do you make this your own down the road. And I think it's, it's the same way. I mean, weight training is not that, not that hard, but it's still, the basics can carry you for a long, like, I'm still learning how to deadlift properly. It's like, maybe if I widen a little knee, maybe if I bring my feet in, it's better for me, or looking for a different client. It's, like, for example, I had a kid, he's a breaststroker. I haven't even trained, I'm only training for 2 weeks while he's at home for college. And he has his strength coach and stuff. And I watched him squat, and I'm like, he's like, oh, my knee. So I watch him, and then I'm like, okay, I go, why don't we widen your feet a little bit? Like, make it like your breaststroke. Like, you should be in the same position as your breaststroke. Turn your toes out. Like, when my coach said, don't do it, I go, well, you're a breaststroker. Like, turn your toes out. Like, I'm not saying 45 degrees, but 10 degrees or 12, like, it's going to help you so much more. You're going to be more comfortable. I don't care. You're never going to be a weightlifter. So I don't care if it's like, a perfect like squat in terms of like getting your butt to the floor and doing whatever. I go, make it what's good for you and what's going to carry over. And so we kind of worked on that. It made so much more sense for him, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Even I had somebody for an assessment one time, and they lived out of state, and really one of the things that he expressed was that his goal was to have a perfect squat technique. And I was like, I don't know if that exists, because we're doing an assessment on it, and I'm like, for one, let's define a perfect squat. What is it? I mean, there's varying degrees of opinions on that. And then there's also, everybody's hip is a little bit different. Some people toe out a little bit more than others. Some people have like just different joint angles in general. So there's going to be different stances and different positions and different angles and different patterns that are going to work for a specific person that aren't going to work for maybe you or I, but it'll work for your swimmer person. It's so much of it depends on the individual. That it's kind of hard to say perfect,
Yeah, and I think that's the importance of having a coach and having experience and just being able to pick those things out. And being an open mind with a coach, like, yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be the way I would teach a squat, but this guy's like 20 years old and he's been doing it. And, he has a certain skill set where he's a breaststroker, where they really whip their legs out. For him, I'm going to do that because it's a little bit safer, but I'm not going to teach my 13-year-old who's just learned how to squat. I'm going to try the basics and then see how it goes from there, So, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, I see people do that every once in a while where they'll just conventional deadlift someone on a barbell day one and almost max them out. And I'm like, dude, it's a recipe for disaster. It's just no good. Like, why would you do that? And just like the whole theoretical or whatever you want mindset around perfection. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if you'd want to be perfect even if you could be perfect.
Yeah, because then there's nowhere else to go, right? You've hit the pinnacle, like
you never learn anything.
And the weight room's like your classroom.
Yeah,
here to explore and here to find out more about yourself and figure a lot of things out. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, there'd be no growth with perfection. But yeah. So you use the words like not sexy, like not lifting sexy. Like we're around here. I think like a lot of things in the training world are trying to be towards that, we have to have the new innovative this, or we have to, they're like trying for that sexy appeal, that sex appeal. But like, to me, I think people are kind of looking for that not sexy thing, or what you're talking about, where they're like, I just need to be able to move well. I don't need to be doing like dance aerobics and all this crazy stuff. But I think people are moving more towards a more logical view of all of this health stuff anyway. And I think like you're hitting the nail right on the head with everything that you're saying, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah. The mindset, I mean, I think in all honesty, I think adults are the hardest people to train because they just have years and years of habits, preconceived notions, experiences, and mental stuff going on. So they're hard to get through sometimes. You're going to have a lot that come in the door and leave right away because it might not be their thing or something, which is okay. And I've weight loss clients, like I said earlier, that they're the hardest ones for me. I think I've had 2 successful clients lose weight and keep it off, because it's so mental versus, and then they have to want to do the work. And there's so much more than just eating right and stuff. So yeah, going along those lines, you got to, if you want to help people, you got to kind of reprogram their mindset and give them realistic expectations. I only had one athlete this year that had different expectations. And honestly, I've trained him for the last 2 years in the summer, and I didn't train him this year. Not because I told him not to come in, but I guess he didn't want to come in because he emailed me. He's like, tall kid, defender in soccer. And he's like I'm talking, he's probably 6'4" and probably 180 pounds. That's, lean, very lean in his body type. And he goes, I need to put on 20 pounds of muscle this summer and do this, this, and this. And I go, okay. I'm going to be very honest with you. I mean, in the summer, in 8 weeks, it's going to be almost, you're going to have to eat a ton and work out a ton. And you probably can't play soccer because if you run and do all that stuff, it's just not going to happen. I don't know if you like that answer, but I didn't want to,
Yeah, but you can't blow smoke up his ass. Like that's the thing. Yeah. People like us that are just going to shoot people the real deal. It's not always going to be what they want to hear. Like he probably wanted to hear, oh yeah, come in, it'll be really easy. We'll just lift all the time and you'll get big. It's dude, you're going to have to eat so much that food looks disgusting, and then you're going to have to sleep 10 hours a day.
Yeah, and I don't blame him so much, but I know what happened. Probably he's a junior in high school and probably he's a very, very good soccer player. He's going to go to college and play. Probably getting it from the college coaches. They're like, oh, you got to put on 20, and I'm like, you can be strong and not be big, just you got to work with what you got. I don't think your body type's going to be conducive to it. And especially the amount of soccer you're playing, you're running 6-8 miles a day, like even in training. It's not going to happen,
20 pounds in 3 months. A 16-year-old could potentially do it because they're basically like on a natural version of steroids. It's puberty. They can do crazy things. So depending on the 16-year-old, but I mean, it's astronomical. They'd have to be putting in 10,000, 20,000 calories in their body every day and sleeping an enormous amount. And they'd have to cut down on their workouts, the amount of running, like you say, considerably. You wouldn't be able to practice soccer near as much. You'd have to be sacrificing so much to be able to put on that 20 pounds that I don't think the 20 pounds is probably worth it.
Yeah. So yeah, just kind of going back is just, setting realistic expectations, working with them and, like I think that's the most important thing, getting people to buy into the goals and realize things take time. And they will see results. I always tell them, you'll see results in a few weeks. You'll feel probably stronger, a little bit stronger, and then or maybe you'll be able to last a little bit longer. But, the main goals, relish the small victories, right? If you have this big, I want to lose 20 pounds, but relish the 2-pound loss or the 3-pound, going forward. And that'll help, or like, oh, I put on 10 pounds or I was able to do 300 pounds for 5 reps instead of 3 reps. Those are the small victories that get you to where you need to be. And,
right.
and think of it as a long-term kind of thing, right? If you really want to get good at it, if you want to, this is an investment in your health. You're going to be doing this for hopefully the rest of your life, not necessarily training with me, but, taking this with you.
You want to train with you for the rest of the life. Like you
but you know what I mean. Exactly.
Depending on the person, I've had people, like, I just get rid of people like that, but I've had people where I'm like, if I have to show up another day with you, oh my God, the people that are they're just miserable and they want to drag you through their misery. And it's just like, you know what, there's a better gym in town for you. It's one without me.
Yeah. And that's the mindset thing too. That's the adults are tough, with that. If they got that going on, negative attitudes are probably the worst thing you can have. Even if you're not happy with where you are, if you have a positive attitude, it's going to be so much better,
Just making that decision that you're going to intend to have a positive attitude goes a long way too. It's usually the people who come in miserable, like usually they leave feeling pretty good. Usually I can kind of, I can confront the scenario without attacking them and talk to them a little bit. We can get them to a point where they feel safe to be like, it's just something else that's happened in my life. They get it off the chest.
Bad day, that's one thing. Yeah. Bad days, fine. Bad attitudes are a whole different story.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, and it's contagious, and everybody else ends up getting sucked into all of that bullshit, and no fun at all. But tell me about kettlebells. Like, for instance, I don't do a really good job of this at the gym all the time. It's like educating people on why we use kettlebells and why we throw it back between the legs for a swing and why we really forcefully push it down. And I try to explain the eccentric loading of a kettlebell swing at the bottom and how that's like the big, that's like the magic. And they just are looking at me like, yeah. And
dude, you got to dumb it down.
And they're like, okay, yeah, whatever you just said, sound great. Let's do this.
Yeah. I don't talk too much about the eccentric. Kind of rewinding a little bit. What I like about kettlebells, like we talked about fads earlier. I got into kettlebells in 2008. I kind of saw it as not a fad. Where I saw, I don't adopt to things very easily, but I was like, hey, kettlebells are a great idea because even for foundational exercises like deadlifts and squats, I go, it's just a good way to learn stuff. I train a lot. I have 5th graders in here, and there's no way I'm going to teach them a barbell squat ever, for years probably. Maybe a front squat, if they get into 7th grade and they can handle it. But I go, we're going to be doing kettlebells. I found what's that?
And I said, seriously, yeah, they're just not in a position where they should be using a barbell yet. It'd be absurd. For one, a barbell weighs 45 pounds. These kids might need a 12 kilogram, a 25 pound or a 12 kilogram kettlebell.
Yeah, exactly. So for the foundational exercises, even for adults, I can teach them how to deadlift very easily with a kettlebell. I can shove that bell way back in middles. They can set up properly and they can deadlift. If I really need to, and they're rounding the back, you can raise the kettlebell off the floor. You can't do. You can do that with a barbell, but a barbell's still in front. It's still going to be heavy. Still, they're going to round their back. So the kettlebell is so much safer. And even to learn a squat, they can pull the bell in. They're not loading their spine. It's just the foundational stuff. That's what really drew me to it. And then it was the swings, like I said. So, I always tell, like you said about earlier, I go, well, the swing's really unique to kettlebells. There's not, I mean, you can do it with a dumbbell. I've seen some guys on YouTube trying to do it. It just looks like disaster waiting to happen. But
Doesn't work.
What I liked about, and what I liked is the swing aspect, and for a couple reasons. I took Olympic lifting, like courses and stuff like that, and I like Olympic lifting, but I realized it's not great for most athletes. It's just the risk to reward.
Like people's bodies just aren't necessarily set up for it.
Yeah, for two reasons exactly. A risk to reward ratio. I mean, if they catch it wrong and miss a lift and they're not playing baseball. And if they're not playing baseball, their dad's gonna be pissed at me, and then I'm gonna be in trouble, right? Yeah. So, and then that's the reason number one. I just don't do it. The only time I'll do it, if the kid comes back from college and he has power cleans in his program, I'll throw him in there if they want to. I try to steer them towards the kettlebell, but the other reason is most sports, and I'll even throw life in there, is sub-maximal stop and go, not complete power. I can only think of a handful of sports that are raw power, and most people aren't playing them. Football, Olympic lifting, track sprinting, right? So kids are playing stop and go soccer, so I think that sub-maximal swing where you got to go dynamically, stop and go, stop and go, stop and go, just carries over so much better. Yeah. And you can modify it. You can do 10 heavy swings, put it down, or you can do it for 30 seconds at a really sub-maximal weight, build up your cardio conditioning. It doesn't include running, which is really good. So a lot of people can't run because their knees are jacked up, especially adults. So I think it's just another great way to learn to get the cardio conditioning in there for that. And also power production. If you need to jump, broad jump, run, play basketball, you're transferring the ground, energy from the ground through the feet, projecting through the bell. And there's not much anything else, that really does that well for sports. And I think kettlebell is great for that.
Yeah. And just like the position of your hip, like the way that your hip is going to come through and extend, and the way that you're going to load that hip to be able to do it, and the force that you're putting into the ground, it's exactly the kind of movement pattern that we actually, or it's training the exact movement pattern that we actually want when we're out doing other things, whether we're moving laterally or we're moving straight forward, we're still going to get that loading pattern that we want in the swing, the same that we want to. So it's like teaching a pattern too.
Exactly. And when I try to sell it to people, so for the kids, I kind of, they would roll their eyes at me all the time, but I'll be like, hey, this is like when you're jumping for a header. I have to relate it to sports, and then they kind of get it. Sure. Adults spin, it's like, hey, do you feel your butt working? You're going to have a nice butt. And then men is going to be a little bit different, like, hey, this is good cardio, or this is really good powerful stuff. And that's kind of, I don't think I've ever used the word eccentric, because you're just going to, like you said, it's going to, they don't care unless they're had some guys really into it. Like, hey, I read that Pavel book. Like, is this what he's talking about? And then I'll get into it. But other than that, I just save my breath or whatever, for that stuff. So, so I'll throw that in. And like I said, that the swing is very unique to kettlebell, and it's very effective. And I think it's a really great way to learn. And it does, if you do it right, it doesn't wreck your back unless you get tired. A new trainee will not have the back endurance to endure it, but hey, 5 reps, set the bell down. Some other people go for 30 seconds. It doesn't matter, right? So
and if not, I mean, you can always just revert back to like a sumo deadlift. You're just figuring out how to do it. The person might just not be ready for it, but the regression is so simple and so easy and so just immediately learned. Like, people just pick up on it really fast. So like you're like everything you said for kids, like I want to be like, dude, like every young grandma, every 50, 60-year-old person that I've ever had that hasn't lifted in their life, like same thing. Like they don't need to be using a barbell. They need to be hugging that.
Never do, no.
Yeah. Like weights in general, like there's nothing specific about, like, outrageously amazing about a barbell that you couldn't do with other things.
Yeah. I would say, like, for some people, like the deadlift, the kettlebell might get light after a while, but
sure, definitely.
Yeah, but if you do, I've seen some people, if they can master like a sumo deadlift with 2 bells, 1 in each hand, and that's pretty hard to do. Like, the kids, like, we'll go, hey, we're doing sumo deadlifts this next 4 weeks, and I'm dropping the weight way down, and they're like, whoa, man, this is totally different. My core is engaged, but I go, the principles, we're just adding a different stimulus, and so they kind of get it. And then when I said, when I run my adult classes, even my police classes, they're small. They're only like 6 to 8. but we do it
Okay.
more of a circus. Now, I don't have time to load barbells up. So it's like, hey, we're doing deadlifts with kettlebells. We're doing squats with kettlebells. We can do double. We can do single offsetting. That's the other thing I like about kettlebells. You can do unilateral very, very well, offsetting weight. You can't really do that with other types of implements. So you can do a one-handed deadlift. You can do a one-sided squat. You know, we're really working on the core and keeping the balance. Like you can't. I mean, I've seen some guys try to do it on YouTube, but it just, you know, that's come on, disaster, right? So
it's like, when's this guy going to drop this barbell on his head while he's trying to do it? Like, trying to do a trick get up with a barbell. And it's like, dude, I'm impressed, but still, I'm not going to ask, one of my 45-year-old clients to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah, but like at some point you do, like obviously like kettlebell isn't the end thing. It's not the only thing that you use. At some point, doing like a trap bar deadlift or a sumo deadlift with a barbell is because I know someone's gonna hop on this call and send me a direct message and be like, I can't believe that you said the barbell training is bad when you put all that. And it's like, no, like barbell training has a ton of
people think I'm a kettlebell guy. I'm not. I mean, kettlebell's another tool, and yeah, I got certifications and stuff like that, but it's about 20% of what we do.
Yeah.
Definitely want to. So if you want to know my progression for a kid, let's say, I'll teach them the patterning. Let's say deadlift patterning. Then I teach them if they need to go elevated, I'll go elevated. Other way I'll do it is either elevated, like a cast iron bell, which is smaller, or they can go competition bell, which sits higher. I have some kids right now who can't deadlift very well, and I go competition bell. They think it's cool. They're still, go a little bit, but like, hey, we're going to use the big bell today. Oh, cool, so they don't get all worried. Then we go to the regular kettlebell deadlift. I'll go maybe sumo deadlift with 2 bells. Then I'll go maybe suitcase deadlift on the outside. Rack pull deadlifts with the bar, so they're a little bit elevated. And then I go trap bar deadlift. And then after that, they have like 7 different deadlifts they can do, and we mix them up that way. The only time, like high school kids, I'll go with the bar down the road. Like honestly, most of them trap bar deadlift. Like that's my ultimate goal. I have one girl. We kind of joked about it. She's a stud. I'll put her against anybody in the gym. She's tiny, 5 foot tall, like probably 100 pounds. And she's like, you never let me trap bar deadlift. I go, in all honesty, we're going to do it now, but you were too small to do it. You couldn't reach that far to get in good position. That's why I had to keep you with the rack pull deadlift for so many years. And she's all, oh, you're right. You can do it. And she can do 135, like no problem. She's super strong, but she just couldn't. The bar was too far away for her to reach. And I don't want you to do that and hurt your shoulder. So now we're starting to do it because she's a little bit taller now. She's just a tiny girl, So we're starting to do that now. So
I love that.
Again, that's a great kettlebell. Kettlebell can fit anybody, any shape, any size, any ability level. Yeah.
Really quick, explain to them what you mean. Like I think I probably know what you mean. I'm guessing it's the same thing that I do. But what do you mean by elevated kettlebell, elevated barbell?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously there's a position. I call it the 10 and 4 position. So like your head's at 10 o'clock and your butt's at 4 o'clock. So I think that's a good general deadlift setup. Not 9 and 3 and then not 11 and 5. So if they can't get there and their back starts to round because the barbell or the kettlebell is too low, if you raise the kettlebell up, they can get, and they don't have to drop their hips as low, and they can get their back set in that proper position. So you can use a 10-pound plate, raise it up. I have mats at the gym. A lot of times I don't have bumper plates, so I got to, like if they're doing 35s, I have to raise. What's that?
We just throw a bumper plate.
So I have to raise
25 or a 45.
Yeah,
go for it.
I just raise it up, like I said, and that's what I do. Just bring the weight to them, and they can set up properly. And then progress is, hey, now you're doing it from the floor. Awesome. Same weight, you're doing it from the floor. Good job. So we do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I love that you're not romantic about that idea that it's kind of like the guy who's like every single person does ass to grass, and every single person takes the deadlift all the way down. It's like, dude, like the implement is changeable. Your body is, kind of like to a certain amount. Like you're not going to change your skeleton to fit that. Yeah, so like let's think about this a little bit. So I'm glad you're not like I knew that you weren't before actually coming on this call, but I appreciate that about you. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and it's a puzzle for me. It's like, how do I teach this person how to do it and make them feel comfortable and get them to learn? So I always it's a skill for me. But like I said, my thing is I always want, especially young athletes, like they don't care honestly. Like they when they get a little old, they want to bench press and curl, but most of them don't care. They really they just want to be good. So my goal is I want to make them feel successful and confident when they leave, and extrapolate that, because there's just so much stuff going on in the real world, whether, I don't know what kind of day they had at school, their girlfriend broke up and they got bullied, whatever. I just want to make them feel they're having a good day, they feel confident, and they feel like they're successful. And that's my whole thing with lifting. Like I said, I'm a means to an end. I'm a luxury. I'm whatever. It's not the end of the world. And, this is a good place to just kind of teach them skills that they can take with them and be successful with it. And hopefully they learn. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The amount of even if you never talked about mindset, if you never talked about positive attitude or anything like that, just the lessons that are in lifting are amazing, because it's always this well, are you going to do it or you're not going to do it? Or what are you going to learn about yourself, or how far can you push yourself, or the lessons that you learn or that people end up picking up just on their own from lifting are amazing. It's a great medium for learning about yourself. It's a really interesting thing. Yeah,
definitely.
Any other party thing? I always say that I'm going to shut these off at 1, but I never actually make it.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Any final words of wisdom, parting thoughts to give people before we cut it off?
No, I think if you're a trainee, someone trying to train or whatever, just go with a positive mindset is number one. Anything you do, whether it's lifting or nutrition, have realistic goals, and then have a good support group, whether it's a good trainer or someone that can work, a workout partner. And then, treat it like a long-term kind of project, explore your body, how well are you moving versus how much are you moving, things like that, just that'll help out. I think that'll just go so much further with your growth and longevity with, everything you do. And you just, constantly, like I said, your own experiment, to quote somebody else, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse, right? And of course we all age, but we could still move well. We can still, do things really well. So if you're lifting and you're going outside the gym and you're doing your stuff, if you're gardening and your gardening's not going well, something's wrong, right? We got to figure we're doing too much in the gym, or not doing enough, or not doing enough stretching or squats. What do we do to fix it, to do the things we like to do better, right? So that's kind of the whole thing, and just be a constant, experiment with yourself. And I think that's kind of a good attitude to go in with. Yeah, definitely. That it's a continuation. It's not like you're ever going to stop doing this. It's a process, and you're just going to continually evolve as you go along. But how can they follow you? How can they keep up with what you're doing? Yeah, so I have, my website is getting redone, like I talked about. So if you're watching this, 2017, I'm going to Rise Above Strength. So it's my new website will be up. I have a lot of blog posts on there. So, I've had 300 blog posts on there. So a lot of stuff. I talk about pretty much a little bit of everything. So yeah, riseabovestrength.com. That's going to have my website. Rise Above Gym, at Rise Above Gym is all this. Yeah, like I said, I try to post, and then YouTube as well. I do a lot on YouTube. I just try to post quick, informative video. I'm not going to wow anybody with my abs or my crazy lifting, but it's just I like to help people, learn how to lift. So I just like to help, just things that I've learned help my training. That's all I put up there. It's like I said, it's nothing mind-blowing, but if you need to learn just little tactics on how to squat and things like that, or how to use a kettlebell, it'll be up there. And I'm doing I just started a series with Kettlebell Kings, and I'm doing progressions on each hard style exercise. So Kettlebell King, that they sell kettlebells, they do a lot of competition stuff. And competition is a little bit different than foundational exercises. So I'm doing a series of foundational hard style, they call it, exercises. Yeah. So I'm going to do a series. I'm just going to release my deadlift one with them. It's all the ones we just talked about today, all the progressions, and then we'll do squats and swings and stuff like that. So look out for that. Awesome. Yeah. What's the name? So you say you do that on YouTube? Yeah, YouTube. I think if they search Rise Above Strength or something like that on YouTube, you'll find my channel. Yeah. Do you have your logo on it? Just show. Yes, my logo is there. Yes. Put it up here so that they know which one's what. My water bottle. You see that?
There you go. There you go. Rise above. So YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Instagram sounds like it's more your game, huh? What is it? What's your?
It's Rise Above Gym at Rise Above Gym. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I think that
appreciate it. Thank you.
A lot of knowledge bombs.
All right. Yeah. Take care.
All right, guys. Thanks for stopping in. This is Doug Fioranelli. Has Rise Above. It's a gym in California, and thanks for being here, dude. If you guys have comments, I'm going to share this and I'm going to tag Doug in it. So I don't know. I'll respond to every one of them. I think Doug probably will too. You game for that?
I will try my best.
Deal. All right. Thanks, man, for being here. I appreciate it. We're going to end the broadcast now. Thanks for being here, guys.